new edition of the Bridgewater Eagles Insider. I'm your host, Zach Staten. Last weekend was homecoming on the campus of Bridgewater College, and with the return of so many alumni from around the country, that could only mean a very busy weekend in sports here at Bridgewater. Let's get straight to the highlights. The Bridgewater women's soccer team has been dominant so far this year. They're ranked 10th in the NSCAA South Atlantic region, are ranked 7th in the nation in terms of goals per game with 3.94, and Isabella Kreider ranks 8th in the nation in assists with 11. Not only was last Saturday a homecoming celebration, but also senior day, and the Eagles welcomed in Hollins University to celebrate.
Kelly Patterson, the lone senior on the team, was honored before the game and got on the scoreboard twice, including this goal on a pass from Bailey Kratz to put the Eagles up 7-0. Bridgewater left no doubt in the contest, scoring 4 times in the first 10 minutes. 11 different Eagles scored in the game, pouring in 13 goals with 9 assists. The Eagles tallied 42 shots in the contest. Junior Anasobis recorded 1 goal and 4 assists, while Kratz scored a goal and had 2 more assists. Then last night, Bridgewater traveled to Shenandoah for a showdown with the Hornets, the first-place team in the ODAC. And in exciting fashion, the Eagles stole one in the final minute when Isabella Weigel collected a rebound of her own shot and sent it into the net with just 38 seconds remaining in the contest. The win for Bridgewater clinched a first-round bye in the conference tournament, and the Eagles now sit at 13-3-1 on the year and sit at 6-2-1 in the ODAC. Senior goalkeeper Haley Talbot notched 3 saves in the victory.
The reigning ODAC field hockey champion Bridgewater Eagles face a difficult task in their upcoming schedule. They face 3 of the top 5 teams in the ODAC standings. If they win those games, they'll clinch a first-round bye in the upcoming ODAC tournament. For homecoming last Saturday, the Eagles welcomed in the Marlins of Virginia Wesleyan into the Jobson Athletic Complex.
This game was dominated by freshman Emily Madison, who put Bridgewater on the board first after this tough shot from her opposite side and a defender pressuring. Then in the 28th minute, she drives to the baseline, spins back around a defender, drives to the goal, and just sneaks one in by the near post for an unbelievable second goal. Then she capped off the hat trick by collecting a rebound from a Marissa Sims shot and firing it into the cage. She also registered an assist on a goal by Jacqueline DeFulvio to close out the Marlins. It was Bridgewater's 9th shutout of the season, and freshman goalkeeper Allie Bishop's 4th on the year, which ranks 1st in the ODAC. The Eagles held Virginia Wesleyan to just 3 shots on the entire game, while firing off 21 shots, 17 of which were on goal. However, BC traveled to Shenandoah last night, dropping a key contest in ODAC play to the Hornets 3-1. Junior Liz Washington scored the lone goal for the Eagles, and Bridgewater dropped to 10-6 on the year, 5-2 in the ODAC. If the Eagles can defeat Washington and Lee this Saturday, which is also senior day for Bridgewater, they'll receive a first-round bye in the playoffs. This game is scheduled to start at 1 o'clock.
Now, Emily Madison has pieced together a fantastic season for the Bridgewater field hockey team. She currently ranks 5th in the ODAC with 11 goals on the year and 6th in the ODAC with goals per game. And she's also a 2-time ODAC Player of the Week just this month. Yet this isn't just the first time that Madison has played in college. She's changing a completely different country. Madison comes to us from Perth, Australia, and this is one of the first times she's been in America. Have you ever wondered what it's like to have to completely change cultures along with going from high school to college? I asked Madison that in our first edition of the Student Athlete Spotlight of the Week.
So we're here with Emily Madison, and we're going to go goal to goal here. You're going to get asked a couple of questions, and we'll try to go 100 yards, all right?
Alrighty.
So let's start. What's the biggest difference you've seen so far between America and Australia?
So probably just the way everyone talks and how they drive on the other side and walk on the other side of the path as well. I always walk into people because I walk on the left side of the path.
What's the question you get asked the most?
Probably, well, does the toilet go the other way, and like, do you have this or this, like foods and restaurants?
What's been your favorite memory so far being on the field hockey team?
Probably scoring my first goal.
Who was that against?
I honestly have no idea because I was too excited. I just remember jumping and overreacting a lot.
Now, last game you had a hat trick. Is that the first time you've done a hat trick in your career?
No, I've done more. I've got like 6 goals in a game back in Perth, but in college, yeah.
Now let's think a little bit more in terms of the differences between Australia and America. What's your favorite place to eat so far in America?
I haven't had that much experience, but probably Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. That seems like everybody's favorite. What's your go-to meal?
I just really like grilled chicken, so anything with grilled chicken.
Grilled chicken's always a good one too.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite part so far about Bridgewater?
The small community is really nice, and how the professors are actually your friends. Like in Australia, we wouldn't know our professors' names, or they wouldn't talk to us outside of class.
What's your goal as far as a field hockey player? What's your goal here at Bridgewater?
To be the best athlete I can and to help my team be the best we can.
And that's Goal to Goal with Emily Madison, and that's your Student Athlete Spotlight of the Week.
The Bridgewater College football team looked to get back into the win column last Saturday in front of a packed homecoming crowd at the Jobson Athletic Complex. They took on the Emory and Henry Wasps, and early on it looked like the offensive woes that had plagued Coach Clark's team early on in the past 2 weeks seemed to have gone by the wayside.
Bridgewater took the first drive 61 yards down the field, ending it with Jay Scroggins finding Warner Hunter IV in the end zone for a touchdown. But Emory and Henry would answer right back, with Kevin Saxton completing a 24-yard touchdown strike to tie the game. The Wasps then used some defensive help, intercepting Jay Scroggins and returning it for a pick six. With Scroggins shaken up on the play, backup quarterback Brendan Mattery came in, and on his second drive led the Eagles down the field to tie the score up at 14 apiece. But the Wasps would score 2 touchdowns to end the half to go up 28-14 at the break. The Eagles got the score back to 28-17 with a Tony Rossi field goal, but then Kendrick Cube broke a 28-yard touchdown run that made the score 35-17. But the Eagles wouldn't go quietly, with Scroggins finding Keith Jennings in the end zone to cut the lead to 2 scores. Another Tony Rossi field goal made it an 8-point game, and Bridgewater's defense gave the offense one more chance to get back on the field with 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. Scroggins would not disappoint the homecoming crowd, flinging a 22-yard touchdown pass to Keith Jennings that brought the Eagles within 2. But then the ensuing 2-point conversion failed. Emory and Henry could have knelt on the ball to end the game, but after a Scroggins interception, they scored one more time and hit the extra point to put the Eagles out of reach. The final score, 42-33, the Eagles fall to 2-5 overall. Jay Scroggins was 23 of 41, passing for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. Rayvon Johnson hauled in 8 passes for 111 yards and a touchdown catch, while Keith Jennings also caught 7 passes for 77 yards and tallied 2 touchdown receptions. After the game, Coach Clark said he was proud of the way his team fought and thinks they're very close to a breakthrough.
Well, I think I was proud of the way our kids fought in the second half. I thought you saw people on the offense and defensive side of the ball step up and do the things that winning teams do. We got to that point, we just couldn't make that final step. We had our man beater called when they were in zone, and we didn't have the timeout to burn to kind of get ourselves out of that play. So you have to live with that. I think the big challenge for our kids is we've shown we're close, but being close and getting over the edge, sometimes that last step is a big one. We just got to regroup here a little bit and try to do the things winners do, even though we haven't stepped out of the trench. We've kind of been stuck in here the last couple of weeks.
Now this week, the Eagles take on the Guilford Quakers, who are 4-3 on the year, but are coming off 3 straight losses. Our Director of Athletic Media Relations, Jimmy McCumber, caught up with Coach Clark to talk about the upcoming contest with the Quakers.
Yeah, Guilford was 9-1 last year. Of course, they've really developed that program the last few years under Pulowski, who was maybe the best quarterback in Division III. They had an All-American wide receiver that graduated as well. But then this year in comes Karsten Miller, a transfer. He's thrown for 15 touchdowns, run for 6 more. So really have been maybe more of a seamless transition there than maybe to be expected.
Well, you think it was. The kid came out of junior college and was heading to Central Florida. I don't know how he got rerouted to Guilford, and you got to deal with that. But, I also think, too, is that, hey, they're in there a little bit trenched, too. They're a team that 4 games ago scored 56 points on somebody in the first half to win and get ranked in the top 20. Got caught in the slop fest that really played to Hampton-Sydney's hands and got upset. And they lost a tough game last week against Shenandoah. Got a punt block, returned for a score, and weren't able to overcome it. Their quarterback was knocked out of the game in the late part of the third quarter, I believe. So in that situation, we've got 2 teams that are in a little bit of a trench, and it'll be a challenge not just physically, but character-wise too. It's a test for both of us right now. Who's going to dig out with three games left? Hey, there's plenty of time to take the brush out and paint a different color on this season, and my hope is our kids can respond to that.
You mentioned some of the injuries on defense, and looking at your depth chart this week, a lot of the new names are freshmen. So is that a good sign for the future that there's a lot of young players now getting into that 2 deep?
Well, they've been there by necessity really throughout the year. We knew we didn't have that big senior class. Particularly we've gotten beaten up along our defensive front, which was really one of our thin positions to begin the season with. But it's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's parts of it that you're going to maybe, if you keep the kids together, that it pays a dividend down the road. But we're really in a position here, Jimmy. Our goal is to try to beat Guilford, and to do that, hey, I wish I had the more experienced, seasoned players. But it's really kind of a game where you play the cards you have in your hand, not the ones you wish you had, and that's what we have to try to do. There were some positives in last week's game. I mean, our 2 quarterbacks played well, when they had to. I think having that position, they've practiced this week. They'll be back again. We got to get our running back healthy because I think he gives us a threat too. And we also showed a little bit last week we have outside threats. And when you get the ball in their hands, you know, they're capable of making plays. So it's a game we're going to have to go on the road to be efficient, but also play very well. And we're going to have to score some points to win.
As always, check BridgewaterEagles.com for live stats and video links, along with our radio feed with Carl Magenhofer and Zach Staten. That was going to be my last question. We can talk next week about the senior class, but sort of what is the approach for these last 3 weeks now as you finish off 2016?
Well, I think you owe it to those kids are sitting in there, not many of them, but they're fighting hard, and we're going to take it week to week. Yeah, there's a short and there's a long-term objective, but that's easy for me to look back and see as a coach, but I think it's a week-to-week deal. Really our focus has just been on Guilford. I think we got our margin for error, we knew from day one, is 0. We've shown we're capable of playing with good football teams and beating decent football teams, but it's going to take a 60-minute effort. We're going to have to eliminate the mistakes that can cause you to lose when your margin for error is thin.
It's been a resurgent season for the Bridgewater volleyball team. They're 19-8 overall, 7-4 in conference play, and the team is ranked 7th in the NCAA South Region rankings so far. Now, last Saturday didn't just signify homecoming, but also senior day for the team, as seniors Abby Mills and Bailey Long were honored before the team's tri-match. Now, they dropped the first match 3-1 against the Guilford Quakers, but the second match against Avery shifted the momentum in favor of the Eagles.
In a wild first set, the Cougars took a 19-11 lead following a kill by Hannah Shields. The Eagles would mount a comeback, however, including 5 kills from Mills to get the game tied up at 24-all. Junior Carly Studman then led the Eagles with a denied attack, assisted sophomore Jenna Hammer on a block, and had the final kill of the set to give the Eagles a 31-29 win. But the Cougars put the pressure right back on BC, winning the next 2 sets to go up 2-1 in the match. In the 4th set, Mills notched her 1,000th kill in her BC career to help Bridgewater get out to a 15-11 lead and recorded the final kill of the set to keep BC alive in the match at 2-2. In the final set, the teams traded punches, and Bridgewater got out to a 14-12 lead, but the Cougars recorded 2 consecutive points to tie it up. The Eagles, however, put the dagger in the match when Rachel Kinsey notched a kill, and the Cougars committed an attack error to end the 5-set thriller. The team returned to action last night and picked up a big 3-0 victory over the Roanoke Maroons to move to 19-8 on the season. With the win, Bridgewater remains 4th in conference standings and is virtually a lock to host an ODAC tournament match. Rachel Gaston led the Eagles with 12 kills in the match, Jenna Hammer had 38 assists, and Macon Fry notched 20 digs.
Want to remind you that the Bridgewater men's soccer team and field hockey team will celebrate their senior days at home on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Both games will stream on BridgewaterEagles.com. It's also the home finales for both teams before moving on to ODAC tournament play. Also, the cross-country team will compete in the ODAC championships this weekend, and we'll have all the updates for you on our Twitter page and also on BridgewaterEagles.com. We'll have more of these videos on our YouTube page and put right here on BridgewaterEagles.com. For cameraman Brett Jones and Director of Athletic Media Relations Jimmy McCumber, I'm Zach Staten, telling you to wear gold, bleed crimson, and go Eagles.